What we haven't talked about is Bughead.
Yes, we haven't talked about Bughead.
No.
I feel like all eyes suddenly turned to me and like, what does he think? um, uh, this Riverdale's all been about Bughead versus Barchie versus Varchie. And I feel like the mid-season premiere has kind of made it clear that we're going in the Barchie direction, but I don't really think we needed the mid-season premiere to tell us that because it was pretty clear that's where we were going. And even as a Bughead fan myself, I'm completely open to seeing where this Barchie story goes. I don't know what to expect from it. I feel like the whole superpowers things kind of added an unusual layer to it. And I'm like, can Barchi just not be happy for a little while before Bughead gets back together? But I feel like we've it's going around in circles as far as which couple ends up together, and I feel like it's going to keep doing that until the show ends. I know a lot of Barchi fans are like, this is where we're at now, this is Endgame, but I will say this as someone who's watched tons of TV shows, and I know that's not a good example considering Riverdale always does the opposite of what you expect, but Barchi have gotten together in the third quarter of the show's run, which means there's still one quarter left. And usually when that happens, that's when the character flips back and makes an ultimate decision in the end. So I'm not saying Bughead is Endgame. But what I am saying is Bughead could still be Endgame. I feel like they quietly killed Bughead and even more quietly killed Varchie to allow Barchie to thrive. But that doesn't mean that it's going to thrive the whole way through to the end. And I feel like if Jughead sorts his trauma out, whatever happens with Barchie happens, and then it ends, there is still a way back for Barchi. I'm not saying it should go that way. I'm just saying from what I know from a script point of view, from TV point of view, when things happen in the third quarter of a story, usually something different happens in the fourth quarter.
Now, why'd you have to bring logic into this? Because that does make sense. And I agree with you. But yeah, this is Riverdale. They can always like we saw how quickly things change for Veronica in the matter of 45 minutes. Like there's always where there's a will, there's a way. It would feel kind of like cheap because I feel like so many shows do that in their final season where they're like exploring a different couple, and then at the end they're like, but wait, this one is we decided this is Endgame, and they bring them together in the last like handful of episodes. They can do that, whether it would be necessary because these characters have all grown so much. Do Betty and Jughead or Betty and Archie? I'm playing devil's advocate for both sides here.
Mm-hmm.
Do either of those couples really need to end up together? Does Betty need to end up with one of her high school boyfriends or lifelong friends? Like, is that if it's natural to the story and it makes sense, then I'm all for whoever she wants to end up with. But I have to ask myself, like, does any of it make sense?
I think to put my shipper hat on, Barchi makes sense for where they are right now, only because they have not, besides my love for them, they did not explore them in the way that they should have back when they were teenagers. They kind of just used them as a means of introducing drama into the storyline and then immediately pulling them back out. Like they would leave you on the cliffhanger, like, oh my God, Betty and Archie did this. Now what? And like nothing would happen. Or something would happen, but they'd move past it. And so now there's the opportunity to see where their relationship goes. But I think it's totally valid to see the way back for Bughead as well, because they kind of, I'm not about that relationship, but the way that they fizzled out, which does happen in high school, but the way that they fizzled out was like, whoa, okay. Especially because Betty's attitude towards Jughead basically changes. And to be fair, it's been 7 years and they were in touch, but seem to have grown apart. And that doesn't mean that they can't grow back to each other. That's not the word I'm looking for, but like eventually find their way back to one another. If Jughead does move through his trauma and they acknowledge the whole Archie thing. And Betty sort of develops feelings for this version of Jughead. I just don't think that's happening in season 6. No. I don't think there's enough time. I do understand it's Riverdale, and that they could let it happen if they wanted to let it happen. I just think that we are currently in Barchydale. I think we'll be in Barchydale in season 7. Whether or not Bughead comes back into the plot, I think that's like a season 7 thing. But I'm also totally fine with Betty choosing herself. Like, or if there's not even like a choice thing, it's just that her relationship with Jughead, when it's course, her relationship with Archie when it's course, and by the end of season 7, she's like, I'm cool running an FBI team, not in Riverdale. Like, I'm fine with that story line for her. I prefer Barchie, but I'm fine with her being, just Team Betty.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there would need to be something big to happen to separate Betty from Archie, and something big to happen to pull her back to Jughead. I don't know if those big things are the same thing or what that big thing would be, but something would need to happen. You can't just you can't let Betty and Archie just like fizzle out and decide like, JK, we're gonna move on. And you can't just like put Betty and Jughead in a room together and be like, oh wait, are we doing this again? Like, there has to be something story wise that makes sense for one character to pull away from another and to be back with somebody else. Like, there has to be something. I don't know what that is, because who can predict what happens on this show?
True. And he's currently happy with Tabitha. Like, and they're really investing in that relationship. And as far as we are aware, Riverdale's Jughead is not pining after Betty. I don't know if when he finds out about Archie, his opinion is going to change, or if they'll start questioning his relationship with Tabitha, but he's very happy with her right now. And they're both going through this major life event together, just like Barchie are going through. Yeah, he's busy. He's figuring out that he's lost his hearing. Like, sorry, Jughead.
But to wrap up the thoughts, yes, I totally agree with everything you're saying. And I feel like I'm happy with Barchie now, and I'm excited to see them finally do it, because even as a fan of Bughead, I feel like they should have done it long ago. So let them be happy. That's all I'm saying. But I will say, in general, just with Riverdale, you never know how it's going to go. So never write anything off. That's logical from a logical standpoint. I don't know if the show follows logic. Just never ever write anything off. I'm just saying, I'm not saying we will, but I could see a way back to Bughead and Barchie, particularly that one, because that ended so poorly in season 5. I could see the way back for both of them, but we'll see how it goes. Right now, I'm okay to see how Barchie plays out.
Moral of the story: we're along for the ride.
Yes,
you got that.
we are.
Follow our example, Riverdale fans.